Caleb. Thanks for joining me. I was just going over an old photo album of the first property that I ever purchased, the first property I ever lived in, and thought it'd be a good story to tell. So come and join me as I reminisce about where it all got started. So it was 2008. I had just finished up a year and a half at a private college and decided I wasn't going to go back. Decided I was going to go to community college for a while, see what I was going to do there. I didn't want to spend so much money at private college anymore. And I didn't want to move back home. I had to figure out what I was going to do for my living situation. I did not want to live in an apartment. That was, I don't know why I was so against an apartment, but I just did not have any desire whatsoever to be in an apartment. But I didn't have any money, so I couldn't buy anything. There was this mobile home park about 3 blocks from my parents' house. And I was walking through there one day and I saw a for sale sign on one of the mobile homes. And I went in and talked to the guy, and that's a funny story in itself. He was like an old Methodist preacher guy. He was probably in his 80s and had probably lived in that place for 25 years. And he wanted $12,000 for it, which I didn't know any better at the time. I walked out of that house thinking, okay, well, let's see. If he'll carry a note for me, maybe I can pay him, $12,000. If I pay him $1,000 a month for 12 months or something. And as soon as I came out, the guy across the street called me over and he's like, hey, come over here. So, did he tell you he wanted to get $12,000 for it? And I said, yeah. And he said, don't pay that. Like, that's way too much. He's trying to get what he bought it for 20 years ago. So I was like, oh, okay, thanks. I went and talked to the manager of the park and asked her if she knew of any other places that were going to be up for sale. And she said, actually, yeah, there's this place over here. The couple has been moved out for a couple months, and I'm sure they would like to sell it. Walked over to the house with her, and I looked in the windows. That was the house there. From the outside, it looked pretty good. It looked pretty clean. I found out later that was because the park had been taking care of the yard maintenance. So it looked clean on the outside. I looked on the inside through, one window was all I could look through, and it looked like there was a bunch of garbage in there. But I said, I don't know, looks good to me. The park manager said she would reach out to them and see if they were interested in selling it to me. And they said yes, they would, and they wanted $3,000 for it. And so I thought about that, and I thought, oh, that's a good deal. But they wanted cash, and they wanted it now, and they wanted it by the end of the month. I think I was probably only making $1,000 a month. I had maybe $300, $400 to my name. I figured my next paycheck was going to be about $700. So I said, all I got is $1,000. If you want to take $1,000 for it, you can. And they called me back 4 hours later and said, yeah, as long as you do it right now, we'll do it. So I had to go to my boss and say, hey, can I get an advance on my paycheck? Because I want to buy this place. And he said, sure. Then I had to apply to actually live in the park, fill out the application. I think I put in that I made $800 a month. I still feel a little bit bad about this. The park manager, right in front of me, was looking over the application, and she came to that $800 a month income figure, and she said, I think you make more than that sometimes, don't you? And I said, well, sometimes. And so she took a 1 and drew it right before the 8. So it said that I made $1,800 a month. And it was approved. So I found myself the proud owner of a $1,000 mobile home. I had not ever been inside of it. It was just through the window that I had looked, through one of the windows, and I had no clue whatsoever what I was about to get myself into. Got the keys, walked into the house, and whew, it was nasty. It was the grossest place I had ever seen, I had ever been in. The smell was awful. It smelled like cat urine and dog poop and rotting food, and it was so bad. In the living room, I'm not joking here. There was a hole in the floor, through the subfloor, down to where I could see insulation underneath the house, in the middle of the living room floor. We walked back to the bedroom. There was 4 holes in the floor, right where the bed legs had been, that had broken through the floor. The bathroom was disgusting. Dirt and dust, and it probably hadn't been cleaned for 5 years. It was so bad. Garbage everywhere, piles and piles of magazines and old mail, and it was gross. But I don't remember being that repulsed by it at the time, other than being like, oh, this is gross. I can't believe people live like this. But I don't remember thinking, oh man, what have I gotten myself into? Or, oh man, this was a dumb decision. I don't remember thinking that. And I think it was so naive. It was just part of the journey for me. The people who owned it had said they wanted to come back and get some of their stuff. And I looked around and I couldn't believe that there was anything in that place that they even wanted. But they did. They came back a few days later. They loaded up 3 carloads worth of stuff. And the lady, I felt really bad about this after the fact, once I kind of knew what she had been living in, but the lady had a respirator on and was walking with a walker. I found out that she died like a month later. They got their stuff, they left, and then I was left with a house full of junk. Okay, let me tell you quickly about the layout of the property. I think it was about 900 square feet. It was probably 13 feet wide by 80 feet long, something like that. It had 3 bedrooms actually, and 1 bathroom. There was a bedroom in the front, then there was a living room kitchen area, which is kind of combined open area. Then there was a bathroom, a little tiny bedroom, and then the back bedroom. The back bedroom was a pretty good size. The little bedroom was maybe like 7 feet by 8 feet, like 50 square feet, very small. And that bedroom was the least disgusting of them all. I think it was a storage room that they had, and so they'd kept the animals out of it. And so I cleaned that out, washed the floor, bought an air mattress, stuck it in there, and I moved in. There was electricity, there was running water, so I had everything I needed. I was single, I wanted to live in that property because I owned it. So I moved in it. Oh, I had to pay the guy rent that I was living with. So I couldn't afford to pay him a couple $100s of rent. I think I was paying him $150. I couldn't afford to pay him $150 rent and pay the space rent of $350 and pay for the cost of cleaning and fixing this place up. And I look back on that now, and I can't believe I lived in it in the condition that it was, especially as I started to tear it apart and see how bad it was. But I did, and I survived to tell the tale. So I lived in it, and I was still working. It was during the summer, so I wasn't going to school at the time. I was doing my landscaping job, making a little bit of money, and I just used that money to pay the dump fees and slowly buy things to fix it up. There's a couple stories I can remember specifically. So one time, I took a shower in this place. And again, I can't believe I took my shoes off in this place. But I took a shower. When I got out of the shower, I noticed some water on the floor. And the water went through the bathroom, out the bathroom door, into the hallway, all the way down the hallway to the doorway between the hallway and the master bedroom. The water was pouring out of that joint between the master bedroom and the hallway. And I come to find out that there was this massive crack in the bathtub. And so the water just poured under the bathtub, and then because there was such a slope to the floor, it just ran down the floor until it found a space to go out, and then it went into the insulation under the house, and then made its way down under the ground. Another water story was one morning I got up, got out of bed, walked into the hallway, and I stepped into water. And come to find out, the valve for the washing machine had broken, and it was leaking lots and lots of water throughout the night. So there's 2 of my water stories. So I thought when I first bought this place that I was just going to have to clean it out, put a little paint on. I probably touched every square inch of that property. I ended up replacing the roof. I ended up replacing all the flooring, including the subflooring, all the siding, painting every surface, gutting the bathroom, pulling out everything to where it was just the floor joists. There was at one point in time, I had taken off the walls in the master bedroom. So when you open the master bedroom door, you basically opened it up to outside. The studs were there, but that was it. It was open to the outside. The siding was gone, so it was just studs and the outside. And so I lived in the house like that for a while. Oh, and for a while I didn't have hot water because the hot water heater leaked. So I had to get rid of the hot water heater, and I didn't have the money to buy a new one yet. So for quite a while I didn't have hot water. So I did take showers at my parents' house and did laundry at my parents' house. The kitchen was actually a decent kitchen. There was quite a bit of counter space, quite a bit of cabinetry. The cabinetry was kind of this fake wood look. The countertop, I thought we were going to have to replace the counter because there was layers and layers of grime on it, and then there was layers and layers of newspapers and old junk mail that had like adhered to the countertop, and so I thought there was no way that the countertop could be saved. But Keely, who we were engaged at the time, she had come over, and that was kind of her project for a while, was to clean off this countertop. And she ended up taking a paint scraper and just scraping this stuff away. And lo and behold, underneath was this nice, shiny, smooth, unscratched, for the most part, countertop. I had to take the cabinetry up and move it so that I could pull up the subfloor and put new subfloor down. But I thought that the walls and everything were okay. And then we went outside and we're taking off the old metal siding. When we pulled off the siding that was right behind where the cabinets would be, like the kitchen sink, it was solid black mold from the floor up to the top of the counter, so 4 feet, the entire length of the counter, probably about 8 feet, 8 to 10 feet, solid black mold. And when I saw that kind of made me realize, okay, it's all gotta go. So we ended up keeping the cabinets, but ended up taking down all the drywall everywhere except for maybe 3 walls in the house. So that was when I really felt bad about the owner, who I found out had died just a few weeks later, because she had been living in this place, breathing this toxic mold and pet urine and cat feces, and it's probably what killed her. My wife asked me before making this video what would I change? Would I do it again? And I would do it again, and I don't think there would be much. Actually, I probably wouldn't do it again at this stage in life. If I had to go back and do it again, I would do it again. And I don't know if I would change that many things, because I learned so much in that process of buying that house. I learned about, the value of hard work. There was a lot of, I had to do it all. There was no one else. If I didn't do it, if I didn't make it happen, if I didn't get the help or buy the materials, buy the product, it wouldn't have gotten done. And so it really taught me some lessons on self-discipline and on perseverance and on commitment. Like, once you start it, you gotta finish it. And I learned that although there were people there who would help me, Keely was there to give me a lot of support and encouragement, even though she didn't know how to do much of the work. And I had some friends come over, and we did the roof, and then Keely and I did the roof on the other side together, just the two of us, and that was a really good bonding experience for the two of us, of working together. That was a real fun memory, actually. So I learned that there were people that would help me along the way, but ultimately it was me who had to take care of it and do it myself. Other people weren't going to do it for me. They would help me, but they weren't going to do it for me. So this house, it forced me to take full responsibility for all my actions. I was the one who decided to buy it. I was the one who determined the price to buy it. I was the one who decided how much work to do. I decided every step along the way. Do we throw this away? Do we fix it? Do we get a new one? Do we find something that is older but functional and put that in there. So it's lots and lots of decisions, hundreds and hundreds of decisions throughout the course of, it took quite a long time to fix this place up. I think, let's see, I bought it in June 2008 and we got married in 2010. That was when Keely came and moved in with me. So it took about 2 years for me to fix this place up. Hundreds and hundreds of decisions that I had to make that no one else was going to make for me. I had to decide, and I had to learn. I had to learn about how to work with subflooring and how to work with laminate flooring and how expensive paint was and how to paint better and how to put texture on walls and how to do tiling and how to do formica. And I learned lots and lots of skills that now, looking back on that, that was a key moment for me getting to the point where I am now, because as we've bought rental properties, I've done the majority of the work. And that has allowed us to not pay someone to do that work, which has allowed us to grow at a faster pace because we're not putting all that money out for other labor. What were some of the things I learned from that? One, I learned that everything is fixable. I think that was a good start for me in realizing everything can be fixed. You might have to tear it down and rebuild it, but there's no problem that's so big that it can't be addressed. And that has helped me as well. I've bought some properties that other people didn't want to buy. There's usually multiple ways to go about fixing something. And now I've learned since then there are some expenses that I probably don't want to take on unless I have a lot of cash. I'm going to try to hone in on that point about everything being fixable, because I think it's a really important lesson that I've learned. It's not just so much about the material, like that, yes, it can be fixed. If there's a hole in the drywall, yes, you can fix that hole. If I had known how big this project was before I bought it, I don't know that I would have bought it. Maybe I would have, maybe I wouldn't have. But if everything had been thrown at me all at once, saying this is everything that's gone wrong with this property and this is everything that you need to do to fix it, I probably would have been like, it's too much, I can't handle that. But it came at me a little bit at a time. And it took me 2 years to fix it. You take it one bite at a time. You take life one step at a time. And there are things that at times when I was working on this project, I was very overwhelmed. I was remembering a time when Keely came over. It was just a few months before we were supposed to get married. She was going to college. She'd come over to the house after college. And we were sitting on a roll of carpet that I had to put down in the place. And I was pretty depressed. And I was just looking around the place and thinking, why do you even want to marry me? This place is, why do you want to live here? This is a gross place to live. And I had come a long way. This was a year at least into owning this property, and it was much better than it was before, but it was still a long way from being finished. She said something nice along the way of she wanted to marry me. She wasn't concerned about the house or where we lived, and anyway, she encouraged me and built my spirits up. But there were times when I was overwhelmed and I was discouraged, and it would be easy to give up in those moments. But I've learned once you get past that and that feeling, then things do get better. You realize, okay, how can we start to address this issue? How can we start to fix this problem? It does seem overwhelming at first when it's all at once, but if you keep stepping forward, then you realize, okay, I just have to make one decision right now. Okay, I made that decision. Now I need to make another decision. Now I need to make another decision. And that has played a big part in my success, in my experience with owning rental properties. I've had some bad experiences with bad tenants and a couple of legal issues with those tenants, and at first it just seems so overwhelming. Like you can't fix it. You can't handle it. Life doesn't just stop for me. And so I gotta keep taking steps forward. And I gotta decide, okay, do I evict these tenants? Okay, yes, I evict them. Okay, what are the steps I need to do? Okay, I gotta go to the courthouse. Okay, I gotta get these forms. Okay, I gotta pay this. Okay, I gotta post this. Okay, I gotta go back to the courthouse. I gotta go to the there's steps, one step, and eventually the house gets built. The house gets completed. In 2 years, I was, 90% done with the project. And the end result was that it was a great place to start our marriage. It was a cheap place to start our marriage. I think I was all in $7,000 or $8,000 over the course of 2 years. I just paid for it as I went. And it was $350 a month that it cost to rent this place. And we lived there for 5 years. And there was 3 bedrooms, so there was some space to have a little bit of office and a bedroom. And it was better than an apartment would have been. And it was something we owned together. And it was something that when the time came to sell it, it was actually we sold it for $20,000. So we actually made money on it because we bought it for so cheap to begin with. That mobile home, that first purchase, was the start of the stories that we have encountered over the last 10, I guess almost 11 years now since that was purchased. And I tell this to my brother sometimes. I try to encourage him to just go out and do it, whatever it is. You get stuck in your rut of, okay, well, I'm comfortable with this right now. I don't really like this right now. I don't really like life right now, but I'm comfortable here, so I'm not going to try something new. And so I try to encourage him, just go out and try something. If you fail, so what? You're going to learn some lessons along the way. If you succeed, great. You're going to learn some lessons along the way. I think that really came back to this mobile home more than about anything else, because it gave me a confidence in myself that I can overcome the challenges that are put in front of me. I have the capacity to learn new skills, if I need to learn new skills, to handle adversity, to live in a situation that's unpleasant, because the future is worth fighting for it. And so I lived in this junky place, knowing that if I kept at it, what I pictured in my head, this nice finished place that I could bring my bride home to, it would be worth all the pain and suffering that I was going through. And I had to be reminded of that from time to time, and I had to take breaks from time to time, and there were times when I got discouraged and I made mistakes and I had to redo things. But that was all part of the journey. And now, looking back on it, it's just kind of it's a fun memory. I don't remember all the bad times, I don't remember all the good times, but I just look back on that and went, wow, that was, look how far we've come from that point. So I encourage you, if there's something that you're on the fence about, just do it. Take a step in that direction. Take a step out of your comfort zone, because you're going to learn. You're going to learn more about yourself. If you're married, your spouse is going to learn more about you. You're going to learn more about your spouse. And it doesn't have to be something wild and crazy. Just go do it. Do something. If you're not completely satisfied and happy with where you're at right now in life, well, do something different. And you will learn. There's a phrase, Dave Ramsey says it, I don't know if he came up with it or not, but he says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can't eat an elephant in one sitting, but one bite at a time, little by little, you will accomplish that goal as long as you keep going. One foot after another, one foot after another. I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I learned, was that I just need to keep moving forward. There's lots of stories that I've made mistakes with our properties and the tenants that we've had, and people probably looking, if they were just to see all the bad stories that I have, they would be like, why'd you keep going? Why'd you keep buying properties? Why'd you stick with it? And it was that, it has been the fact that I know the future looks better than the moment in those bad moments. The future is worth fighting for. And that's what this mobile home taught me, is that the future is worth the persistence. The future is worth the fight. That's the story of our first real estate purchase. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can subscribe to my channel. There'll be a lot more stories to tell. Let me know what you think in the comments. Take care.